Did they make contact?
No, it's pretty close, but this is going to be a drag race.
Look at this.
Moves out to win it. Carl Edwards bumping, dump and run.
Here comes Gordon right up to the bumper again. The bump and run.
There it is.
Maine really turn around, made a Reilly's cage up.
Oh, yeah, welcome to the Bumper Run Podcast. I'm your host, Michael D. White, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric at Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had an Alex Bowman type of weekend. He was the big winner out in Las Vegas. I hope you placed some money and placed some bets on him. He won the Pennzoil 400. And if you're enjoying the show, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Tell all your NASCAR buddies. If you're going down to a race and you start talking to the people in the grandstands, tell them like, hey, I listen to this great NASCAR podcast every Monday night, Tuesday morning, whenever you're listening. It's bumperrunpod.com, at bump the letter N run pod on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook, wherever you need to go. We're always giving you some updates. Fellas, how the hell are you guys? We talked a little bit. You guys know about my weekend. I don't know what about your weekend though. How is everyone's weekend? Matt, how are you doing?
I don't even know what I did this weekend. Oh, you know what we did? We went to go see The Batman.
How was that? I'm hearing mixed.
So, without giving away spoilers, this is what I'll say. It was a good, I'm not like a big superhero guy, but I like the Batman movies because they're dark and gritty.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was a good storyline. The only thing is it is 3 hours, and for me, anything past 2.5 hours is kind of pushing it, but it keeps you just engaged enough. But I could have shaved about 45 minutes off that movie and it would have been better, but not bad. And then we watched the UFC fights at night. But other than that, quiet weekend.
How are those UFC fights? It was a big card, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. From a fighting perspective, I'm a big Masvidal fan, and I hate Kobe Covington, and so it was one that I definitely didn't want to miss. It didn't go the way I was hoping it would go. Kobe won that fight, but it was good. It was a good card altogether.
Worth the pay-per-view money.
Absolutely. The other one on there is Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy opened up the main card, and he's a former NFL player. And if you look into it, we won't get into it, but if you look into his background, it's not great. And I love watching him get absolutely demolished every time he enters the octagon. And he got demolished again. So gotta love seeing that.
Yeah, I haven't followed UFC in a couple of years. The names changed very quickly on me, and I didn't know who was good anymore. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm done with UFC.
It reminds me a lot of NASCAR actually, because you've got your older fans, your fans of Chuck Liddell and all them, and Tito Ortiz, and you hear those guys saying, well, UFC hasn't been the same.
BJ Penn was my dude, licking blood off of his gloves. Loved it.
Yeah. And you hear those older fans saying UFC died when those guys retired, and even though it hasn't, and they've got the new young wave of guys coming through. So there's a lot of similarities in that aspect to NASCAR.
Just like the new wave of drivers winning. Eric, right before the show, told us that since, Las Vegas playoff race last year, no driver over the age of 31 has won a race, which I thought was pretty insane. But Eric, what were you up to this weekend? Saw Saturday night you and our buddies were chopping some wood, having a little fire Saturday night, enjoying the warm weather.
Oh yeah, finally got some warmth coming through NEPA up this way. So snow's all melted in the yard. I had a bunch of cardboard and some pallets that I needed to get burnt up, and invite the buddies over, have some beers, burn some trash, and have a few drinks with the boys. And Thursday, I went out to the bar, chicken wings, craving them since I left for Daytona. Haven't had wings. They're kind of expensive, so, I don't indulge as much as I used to.
Yeah.
So went out to local watering hole, Douse's Suds and Grub Thursday night.
Great wings.
Ended up tying one on.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I tied one on.
It's hard not to walk into that place and not get drunk.
Yeah.
So,
great atmosphere.
Friday was a wash for me. Did not go to work. That was a sick day. Chalked that up, and I was in bed most of the day Friday. So some good came out of that because I ended up actually being able to watch the truck race because I was hungover late at night.
Yeah.
Didn't do it Friday night, but stayed home. watch a truck race, and Saturday was the fire up at the house, and we had a good time, but unfortunately missed the Xfinity Series race, having people over on Saturday. Got nice and tuned up Saturday night to be, hungover and on the couch ready for the Sunday race. So it was old Daytona Ron here.
It's like a vicious cycle of drinking, hangover, watching NASCAR, hungover, drinking. Jeez, you live the life, man.
I also didn't make it to work today. Not due to drinking, due to a flat tire. I'll tell you about that. But Friday, I was so exhausted Friday. I fell asleep during the truck race. I woke up with 40 to go, fell back asleep, woke up with like 6 to go, and it was a caution. Fell asleep, woke up minutes later, and Chandler Smith was crossing the finish line. I go, all right, close my eyes again, and then I woke up to soccer like maybe an hour later or something like that. But Saturday, we had the Pittston St. Patrick's Day parade, so I went down to the parade. But I woke up Saturday morning, I had a flat tire. I go, you want to what? I'm not going to let this ruin my parade day. I ran something over Friday night driving down the highway. And I'm like, you want to what? I'm not going to let this ruin my day. I'll take care of it on Sunday before the race. And you guys were busting my balls last week about how I have poor time management. Well, I woke up at 8 o'clock. I'm like, all right, out the door at 8:30. Let's get this tire changed. I open up, I pull out the spare, and I realize I bought this car a year ago, used. It didn't have a jack or a lug wrench for the lug nuts. I'm like, all right, no big deal. Take my girlfriend's car down to Harbor Freight. Let's get some cheap tools. So I got a lug wrench with the T, has all the different sizes, had the size I need. I got a little pump jack like a NASCAR driver. Slid that son of a bitch under. I'm pumping. It's not even 10 o'clock at this point. I'm like, perfect. I got plenty of time today, right? I put the lug wrench on. It doesn't fit any of the lug nuts. My lug nuts were swollen.
Swollen nuts.
It sounds like something that a mechanic will tell you to rip you off. Like, oh yeah, you got swollen lug nuts. We got to replace them all around. It's going to cost you $100. But it's a real thing. I guess like they have like an aluminum cap or some shit on it. They expand over time. I couldn't get it. So I'm like, all right, now what I'm going to do, go down to AutoZone. I get a bigger size nut and an impact gun. That's not working. The impact wrench isn't working. So then I go back down to Harbor Freight. I went back and forth to Harbor Freight and AutoZone and AAA Auto, like all over the place, because I didn't want to call a tow truck. I have AAA. My girlfriend kept going, oh, you got to just call the tow truck. Just get it towed. I'm like, no, I'm doing it myself. I need this victory today.
Whitey, tell them why you didn't want to get it towed, because of the location of where you were getting it towed to.
So my girlfriend's house is literally a half a block away from the Ford dealership. That's why I buy Fords, because the dealership is that close. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to have them towed a block. So I probably spent about $100 in tools. Couldn't get it done yesterday. I missed the first half of the race. I had to watch the first half of the race today to catch up on everything. I saw the end of the race, though. It was phenomenal. And then I finally got it. I got a new tire today. There was a little tiny hole, the tiniest hole I've ever seen. I don't even know what could have punctured it. It was so small, but it was too close to the sidewall. They couldn't give me a plug, so I had to get a whole brand new tire. So I did that today. I watched the beginning half of the NASCAR Cup Series race. I Quentin Tarantino today. I watched the middle and the end, and then I watched the beginning. And
I'll tell you what, you're a bigger man than me. The minute that first wrench didn't get them all off,
yeah,
you know what I would have said? It's Sunday. This could wait.
Mm-hmm.
This could wait.
Yep.
I'm done. I would just drop the wrench right then and there and say, you know what, this day, because like at work all the time, I have a saying too, like at the Vice, I'll be putting plumbing together.
Yeah.
And my wrench slips, and if I drop it more than twice, putting one piece of plumbing together, that's it. I'm done doing plumbing for the day. I'm moving on to
something else.
Yeah, because like it's like, oh, you just keep dropping that same wrench. You know the outcome. And into one problem, another problem, and another problem. Good for you though, Whitey. You got the job done. Yeah. That's all that matters.
Yeah, three trips to Harbor Freight, 2 different auto zones, another type of auto store, about $100 in new tools, and $150 in a new tire, but over over 30 some hours later, I got it all done. So,
and the whole time, Matt and I texting you,
just ripping me.
Yeah.
So, can I tell you?
You had a terrible start to your Sunday, and like, oh my God, and then when the race started, and I almost didn't want to send you the Snapchat.
Yeah. The first time I got home, it was with 10 minutes to green. I go, I could change this tire in 10 minutes. I got all the tools I need. I finally got the new socket that I need, and I almost had, nope, didn't work. It was too tight. I needed a bigger breaker bar, and Harbor Freight closed. I was down at Harbor Freight, and I get your text message, Reddick in the grass, Reddick in the grass. I'm listening on Sirius XM, 3 minutes on delay. I'm like, great. I'm like, I don't even want to see this. Thankfully, though, he salvaged it, and we'll talk about it. But first, we got to talk about some NASCAR news. Real light news week this week, besides sponsor news. But really, I mean, who cares about sponsorship news? As long as they're signing, that's all I care about. But first piece, NASCAR is still toying with the idea of the Chicago street race. What do you guys think about the Chicago street race? Have you thought about it at all since the last time we discussed last off season?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I still can't get on board. I know back then I wasn't on board. I'm still not on board. And I'm actually like more inclined to say no now than ever too, with the way that these first couple races are going.
Yeah.
I think they kind of started going elsewhere to try to help that package or find a racetrack where that package worked. And I just don't think they need that as of now. I think this car is making the difference. So all these searching around, maybe a street race, maybe this or that, in a way, was it a gimmick to try to make that last car work at some of these places and get a little bit, better results? But I think as of now, stick to their game plan and go to these tracks that we all know and love to watch them race.
Yeah, I'll kind of pretty much mirror what Eric just said there. I think we've all been pretty vocal on this podcast before about how, we're all for the progressiveness of NASCAR and what they're doing. They're trying out new things. We loved the Clash this year, but at the end of the day, like let the street course thing be IndyCar and F1's thing. Like we can stay on a closed course somewhere, a fixed course that's meant to race and let's just stay there. Like, I mean, I guess I'm kind of talking out of both ends of my mouth because we did enjoy the Clash, but even then it was an oval, that's NASCAR's bread and butter. The street course thing, I mean, it sounds, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. It sounds like it's probably going to happen next year. There's been rumblings about it for over a year now, or about a year now. So it's probably going to happen. Am I going to watch it? Sure. Is it going to be exciting? Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, just the idea of it, it's just not our thing. Just leave it to the other series and let us keep our thing.
Yeah, if you remember last season, I was all about the Chicago street course idea. I've completely 180'd. I no longer want to see it. I think we have the perfect amount of road courses the way it is, if not one too many. I don't know which one I would want to cut, though, because I think they're all pretty great races. And so I'm off the idea of a street course. I would rather see another short track come than a street course. So I've done the 180.
Thing. That's the thing right there, and you just nailed it. Is that all of us NASCAR fans are clamoring, like, please just give us another short track somewhere, another true short track somewhere. Yeah. And NASCAR says, nah, we can't do that, but we can give you a street course. Like, nobody's asking for a street course.
Although, if anything, I think these cars could be interesting on a street course.
I'm sure they could, and I'm sure they'll put on a good show. But like, again, what Eric said, like, it's gimmicky. Do we need the gimmicks at this point?
I don't think so. I think even honestly, like, because I've never been a huge road course racing guy, and last season it really turned around for me where I'm like, I'm looking forward to these races now. I didn't like when they were like back-to-back weeks like we saw with the Indy road course, and I forget what
Watkins Glen.
And Watkins Glen. Was it Watkins Glen? I thought maybe. I don't remember. But yeah, like I really came around where I'm like, okay, I'm really enjoying these road courses. So maybe a street course would be cool. But now that I think about it, like, no, eight 8 street/road courses is just too many. Then you're coming into like a third of the schedule territory, and I just don't like that. So I'm on board with you guys. Let's see, another piece of update, really not an update, but as we saw again on Sunday, NASCAR will continue to allow cars to be towed to pit road until a better option is found. So they're sticking with that in the short term for the tire issues that we're having in the Cup Series. And rookie Todd Gilliland lost his crew chief for 4 races after Auto Club. So he already has 1 race down, 3 more races for him without a crew chief. And really, and one last piece of NASCAR related news I just saw announced about an hour ago. The Blaneys are going to battle in SRX. They're going to be at the finale in July at Sharon Speedway. Ryan and Dave Blaney will be on track together, much like Chase and Bill Elliott were for the finale last season. So I thought that was pretty interesting. How about you guys? I know Daytona Ron's a pretty big closet Blaney fan at this point. So are you looking forward to see him run against his dad in the SRX series?
Oh, of course. I mean, it's just that's fun all around. I think this SRX series is going to do a lot for NASCAR, especially bringing a lot of NASCAR's, superstars over there for some of these one-off races. Yeah. And whenever you could see, a father-son, battle like that, it always adds that little more bit of an edge. And, it'll be interesting to see who's willing to maybe bump or shove one of them out of the way to gain a position or even maybe a win.
Now, an interesting thing. So last season was the first season that Ryan Blaney had multiple wins in the NASCAR Cup Series. Do you think Ryan?
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's crazy to think about it. Do you think Ryan Blaney, if he wins at the SRX race, do you think we should count that in with the NASCAR total for wins this season?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, as a driver, I'll give it to him, but as far as wins go, towards the season,
did you guys count Chase's win in the SRX series last year as a win?
No.
Yeah, there's your answer.
I just want to be silly to bring up that running joke of Ryan Blaney's multi-win season from last year.
Wins this year. I told you guys he's winning the championship.
I'll count Blaney's win in the SRX over Logano's win at the Clash.
Oh, that's a good one. All right. Speaking of wins, we had all 3 series on track in Vegas this weekend. The truck race, as we mentioned earlier, Daytona Ron got to watch it. I fell asleep during most of it because I was just exhausted from the work week. And Matt, did you get a chance to see the truck race?
I got to see a little bit of it. Yep.
Chandler Smith, your winner in the truck series. And fun fact, a Smith has won every single race so far in the truck series this season. Either Chandler or Zane. But Zane Smith got disqualified on Friday. So
what I've been doing is, because once we get to Monday, the weekends are busy for all of us. So if I do get to watch a truck race on a Friday night, they're typically on a Friday night or early Saturday. By the time we get to Monday and record this podcast, I forget what I watched. So I just make notes, and I made a couple bullet points here. I think you guys are going to like the last one that I wrote down for the truck series.
All right.
for the race. So the notes are very racy.
Yeah.
Passing was plentiful. Battles inside the top 5 all race.
Yeah.
And then here's the last one that I know that I made. Matty D was floating around 18th to 20th all race. Not ideal for a guy who thinks he deserves a cup ride.
Well, that's true. I mean, it's tough to say because
where's the lie there?
Well, it's not a lie. I'm just going to say Rackley War Racing is a new team. It's their second year.
Fair enough, but talent should get that car a little higher than 18th and 19th.
He ended up finishing in the top 10, though. To be honest with you,
did he? Oh, well then I just put my foot in my mouth. See that?
Yeah, he ended up, because I thought
I fell asleep. I didn't watch the whole race.
So I thought during the truck race, I go, oh my God, this is nice. It's already stage 1 is over. Oh shit, stage 2, man, they're already halfway through.
Oh yeah, Matt Benedetto, 6th place finish.
These truck races are fast. I go, I like this. It's quick, not much strategy. You just have to do what you do. Go out there and race your race.
Oh, yeah.
And then the 3rd stage comes around, and there's about 20 laps left, and it just felt like those last 20 laps took longer than the first whole 2 stages. I'll be honest with you guys. I regret staying up to watch it. Because I'm like, oh my gosh, what is going on?
I'm looking at it now. It looks like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 drivers didn't finish. They were in an accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the end of that race drug on, but I did notice during the race, Matt, he was struggling. And he was in that 18th to like 20th position. I'm like, man, this is a bad thing for him. Like, he was riding around, like, I think because I'm always paying attention where Haley Deegan was at. And like, they were always like right by one another in about 18th. And I'm like, man, I go, he's not doing that well. But then at the end, you know, some circumstance, some restarts helped him, you know, improve to where he ended up finishing in P6 or whatnot. But yeah, I was getting a little nervous for Matty D there too.
In my defense, like I said, I didn't finish the race. I did fall asleep. So, and then I didn't check on it after that. So I guess I really put my foot in my mouth there, but whatever.
Hey, it was a late one here on the East Coast. Those 9 o'clock start times, man. I don't know. I can't wait. Thankfully, they won't be in Phoenix. The next race is at Atlanta. So that'll be like a normal, 7:30, 8 o'clock start time. So the next truck race will be a little easier to stay up during. An Xfinity race, though. What a race. Ty Gibbs with his first win as a full-time Xfinity Series driver. What'd you guys think about Saturday? Of course, Daytona Ron, he didn't get a chance to watch. I saw the tail end of it, so I saw the win. Matt, I think I caught it right around the time you did, too.
I got to watch. I made notes. I got to watch the last 10 laps of stage 2 and then all of stage 3. And from what I saw, there was lots of passing. There was 3 wides at time. It was 3 wide at times. But I guess from what I put here is from what I saw, I would give the race about a C if we were grading the Xfinity race. Yeah. So from what I saw, I guess it wasn't that great.
Yeah, I don't really remember much. I remember Brandon Jones wrecking. And then Ty Gibbs winning. I couldn't even tell you anything from the race.
Yeah.
The only thing I saw on Twitter was just a controversy with Ty Gibbs and maybe a shitty move that he pulled.
Yeah.
But even on my Twitter, like normally there's some storylines that I'll follow if I miss a race that I could kind of catch up on, and that story seemed to be the one to kind of overshadow the race in whole. So
Ryan Sieg there.
Yeah.
Like I just think it's probably going to be a pretty shitty race if one incident kind of overshadows the entire
everything else.
And Saturday Xfinity races, I know we said this a lot last year too, is like Saturday Xfinity races are tough unless there's absolutely nothing going on where I can actually like sit down and pay attention. Like, especially what time was it? Like 5 o'clock that race started on the East Coast. By the time we got home and everything from the movies, we started cooking dinner and all that, you're in and out watching it. So it's kind of hard to keep up with the Xfinity races sometimes.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was at the St. Patrick's Day parade earlier, had a couple 2-tree beers and took a nap and then woke up. And you ever take a nap and then you're disoriented for the rest of the night where like, I couldn't tell you what time it was. It felt like I know it was 8 o'clock. It felt anywhere between 11 and like 4 in the morning. It felt weird,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my mind's a little hazy on that one. And of course, Cup Series race, late caution, Eric Jones, Alex Bowman capitalizing on it. Bowman, the showman, with his first win of the season. I know he's not a big fan of the nicknames either, so I got to throw that one out there.
My jinxes, I guess, carried over from last year into this year too. What did I tell you guys? It looks like you guys are about to have top 10 finishes. That's awesome. And then Eric Jones wrecked.
Oh yeah.
You literally texted that. And I swear, as I was replying, I had it in my phone. I go,
oh no.
Dude, I had half of the word pumped. I put P-U-M, and then I look at the screen, I go, oh no. And I had to fucking erase it, and I'm like, oh no, I'm going.
Yeah. I couldn't believe that with what, it was 3 to go, 4 to go, something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had 23 lead changes among 15 different drivers. A lot of lead changes, a lot of different people in the mix. Love to see it. 12 cautions for 60 laps. Don't love to see that many cautions, but it made for an interesting race. Your top 5, Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, Kyle Busch, and William Byron. What'd you guys think about the race?
So should we hop right into the race grades here then? Because like most of my thoughts are in with my grade.
Yeah. Let's jump into it. Right. Take away, Eric.
So I looked last year. I had given this race an A.
Yeah.
I got to give it an A again. There's nothing that I saw on Sunday to tell me otherwise. Even comparing it to the week prior. It still did exactly what I want to see in a NASCAR race. I love the racing. The restarts at Vegas, always excellent, always hairy. With those low tire pressures that they were running, those first 5 laps, those drivers, they had a handful.
Yeah. And,
watching them slip and slide and try to wheel that car around without letting it get, out from underneath them. And just the way that, when they would cut in front of a driver and take that air away, like some of the saves were absolutely incredible. And just all around the racing all throughout the field, people, battling for the lead, battling mid-pack, drivers going from the front to the back, driving all the way through again. My driver, Eric Jones, until that end, he had one of his best races again.
Yeah.
And, he started, back in the field, but he raced his way into the top 10. Okay, pit stops come around. Has to restart 18th, 22nd, drives back into the top 10. And he did that 3 or 4 times. And at the end of the race, he had a great long run car, moved up into the top 6 there. And I was watching the times, the intervals on the screen. And once I saw him go, like, because him and Larson were picking people off at the end of that race together, going to the field. And then once they got to Reddick, I saw that go from a half a second to a second, from a second getting passed by Larson. And then it went, and I'm like, something's wrong. He overdrove, like he doesn't have enough. And then lo and behold, he blew his tire, which I didn't want to see a caution at the end because I thought that did skew the race a little bit as far as, the ending and the finish and some storylines came out of that. I hated that it was my driver, but, I love that he was doing it racing hard. And you said the cautions, Whitey. I don't mind a lot of cautions in a race as long as they stem from the racing, like racing hard and these people having to go out there. It's not a phantom debris caution or any kind of sorcery that we were kind of used to NASCAR throwing to kind of bring the field back together and lump them. So I'm kind of okay with the cautions that we've been seeing because it shows how hard, these cars are to race, especially single file. But, the parity in the top 10 all day long, too, the comers and the goers, the track changed late. I think Danica pointed out that there was some cloud cover and she noticed certain cars fade and others gained. And Truex was one of those at the time. And he set his car up for that.
Yeah.
He even said, he's like, listen, I know it's going to get cloudy later on, which is a smart thing. They had their car set up. Fine. You take stage 1, stage 2, but I know my car's going to come to me. So,
and he was coming on strong before that caution too.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to give Kyle Busch a run for the money, and he came out of nowhere too.
So passing, lead changes, comers, goers, like just intense battles, hard fighting, drivers with these cars with the horsepower.
Yeah,
man, I could not give it another A, and it's living up to what NASCAR wanted to put out with this Gen 7 car. It's spectacular racing we're seeing.
Yeah, I think you made a great point too. We did see a lot of great short run cars and a lot of great long run cars, and it was all how you decided to set it up for the weekend. And Martin Truex Jr., man, I felt bad for him that the caution came out because I would have liked to see him battle it out till the end there. But how about you, Matt? What was your race grade for the weekend?
Yeah, I went just a tick lower than Eric did. I gave the race a B plus. I probably would have given it a B. I thought the overtime restart probably upgraded the race from a flat B to a B plus.
Yeah.
That overtime was one of the most thrilling overtimes we've seen in a long time, with Bowman and Kyle Busch just side by side that entire time. It was so much fun to watch.
You mean Bowman and Kyle Larson?
I'm sorry. Yep, Kyle Larson. Yeah. It was just so much fun to watch. There was actually Mike Davis of Dirty Mo Media, Dale Jr.'s deal. They had a suite for the podcast, I guess, or for Dirty Mo Media, and he actually released his cell phone footage he put on Instagram of their view from inside the suite of that last lap.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was awesome to see it from that angle. Just those cars were neck and neck the entire time until they came out of turn 4. And like I went from throughout that. How long were the laps? 30 seconds? 29, 30 seconds?
I think they were like 38, something like that.
Okay, so in 38 seconds, I went from saying, oh my God, Larson's going to win this, to Bowman's going to win this, to Larson's going to win this.
Yeah.
I think it went back and forth 2 or 3 times. So it was super exciting ending to the race. It was a quality race the whole day altogether. Like Eric said, there was a ton of passing. The one thing I noticed with these cars, and I noticed it even last week, was that clean air isn't necessarily king as much as it has been with the old generational cars. Yeah. If you have a fast car, you can make up ground. You can get up to the car in front of you. There's not that bubble, that bubble that, I know Kyle Busch has bitched about it in the past. You can actually pass and you can catch up to the cars in front of you. And that's, and then also, the off throttle time is allowing for passing as well. And I think that's why we're seeing such fun racing. I might even go out on a limb and say, including the Clash, or even if you took the Clash out of there, this might be the best start to a NASCAR season I can remember in a long, long time. I was nervous about Vegas because Vegas, for me anyway, is a hit and miss track as far as excitement. It was a hit this time around. I've been very boisterous with my opinions on Phoenix. We're going into Phoenix next week. I don't personally like the Phoenix races. Yeah. So I think that'll be a true test for me personally next week. And I have a ton of confidence that they're gonna put on another show. I have no reason other than to say that they're gonna have a great show next week again.
Yeah, I think this week and next week in Phoenix are the true litmus tests to see like what we're gonna see, at least in the early part of the season, until teams start figuring different things out to do with their cars and stuff. And there's always some issues to be working on. But then we go to Atlanta, which is kind of an unknown because it's a new track configuration. It seems like it's going to race like a super speedway, but will it? I don't know. That should be interesting to see. And like you said about the dirty air and the air bubble, if you don't know what the air bubble is, what would happen is the air coming off the back of the car, when another car would come up, it would kind of get stuck where there was a pocket of air in between the cars, and then that second car behind would kind of get pushed back and lose that momentum. And I think what's going on is just the design of this new car with that rear diffuser and the sealed bottom and everything. It's just pushing that air and dampening it to where now you can see cars kind of get close, and you're not really seeing much of the side drafts and stuff. It's all new drafting techniques and stuff. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of different guys up, because different people are figuring out little things here and there every run and every week and every practice session. So it's just such an exciting time. Last season, Fox kept promoting it as the best NASCAR season ever. And I know we're only 3 races in besides the Clash, but this season so far is really giving it a run for its money. Last season, I'm enjoying what we're seeing so far. And that's why I originally wrote B. I'm going to give it a B plus too. I think just my situation yesterday, dealing with my car and kind of not paying attention besides listening on the radio for the first half, kind of skewed my results. Again, I went and watched the beginning half today, but it's weird to kind of take 2 different halves and put it together as a whole and try to grade it. So I'm going to go along with you, Matt. B plus, especially for that end. I mean, I thought it was solid racing all day long. And especially considering it's the first mile and a half, and we didn't really know what to expect out of these cars at a mile and a half. Loved all the lead changes. Really liked seeing different people up front in the top 10. Like Eric said, a lot of parity in this car so far. Right now, Eric Almirola so far is the only person to have a top 10 in all 3 races. And as long as he keeps that rolling, he's going to have the longest top 10 streak so far, which I thought that was pretty cool, considering he was kind of non-existent last year, except for that win at New Hampshire. So it's even bringing some of the older guys. Eric Almirola is about to retire this year, bringing him back up to the front. We're seeing it, the Eric Jones. We're seeing Tyler Reddick running well. We're seeing these young guys really adapting. And then we're seeing the old vets come back. Last week, I said I was nervous about Toyota. And this week, Toyota was right up in the top 10, doing just fine. So it's crazy just how different these races are from week to week so far. And I'd love to see how it goes for the rest of the season. But yeah, I'm going to give it a B+.
Which is great. I looked back and because Eric, we were talking yesterday, and Eric said, well, no, we gave this race a good grade last year. And I looked, and I did. I gave Vegas a B. Or were we talking about Phoenix maybe?
No, we were talking about Vegas too.
So I gave it a B+ last year too. Then
the playoff race got a D though.
That's what it was. So we were talking about Vegas. Yeah. So hopefully it's not this doesn't fall off and we continue to get this great racing, especially in a year where we might be seeing a large entry of new fans to the sport, right? With that clash, a lot of people hopefully took that and said, oh, I'm really going to get into NASCAR this year. And now they're seeing really great racing to follow that up. So it's really good to see. And, I know there are kinks to be worked out. We have some tire debacles that have become a big problem. But, with a new car, you're going to have that. You're going to have, kinks that you have to work out. But I think the overall arching storyline of these new cars so far have been completely positive. They've put on great racing. And, again, parity, which is what we all wanted to see.
Speaking of great racing, you want to jump into the checkers and wreckers.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
Matt.
actually,
what's your checkers and wreckers for the weekend?
Well, it's ironic that you just said great racing because my checkers is going to go to Ross Chastain, again, with the parity that we just got done talking about. So according to some loop data, I said, I said to myself, was that a fluke or was he really good yesterday? It seemed like he was really good, but sometimes guys get up there and they hang around a little too long. But no, so the one thing with him, Ross, is that he had an average position of 4th throughout the whole race, which was a field best. He led
83 laps.
He led 83 laps, also a best yesterday. And he also recorded the fastest lap on 28 different laps, which was second only to Martin Truex Jr., who had 34 of the fastest laps yesterday.
Wow.
Ross had his best overall driver rating of the day yesterday, which was a 128.3. So it was truly a dominant effort by the team and the driver. It was not a fluke that he was running up front. And they probably had the best car yesterday, and the data backs it up and shows it. So, again, I think we're all high on Trackhouse in the episode to kind of preview this season, and they're showing it. I know Suarez yesterday, he had a raw deal getting caught up in a McDowell and a
Chase Briscoe incident.
But he was doing okay himself. He's been doing good early this season as well. And so Trackhouse racing as a whole is really, really exciting right now to watch.
Yeah, I mean, we've been big on Trackhouse since it was announced last season. We were really excited to see what they could do. And the addition of Ross Chastain so far has been perfect. And his team stayed pretty much intact from Chip Ganassi. They all moved over with him. So it's no surprise that he's running well because he was running great near the end of last season. He started out rough last season, and I feel like he pulled it around in the summertime and got some real consistent results. And we'll see what he could do with the rest of the season. I think he's gonna get his first Cup Series win this season.
Another cool thing that I like about them too is that they're a Nashville-based team now. They all moved out to Nashville, and that they're staying true to that Nashville roots. They've had Tootsies. Yeah, they've had Tootsies on the car, which is a big club bar in Nashville, and now they were broadcasting the AMCs or ACMs.
Yeah, with Dolly Parton hosting.
Yep. So they're staying true to Nashville, which is big because Nashville is a huge market for NASCAR.
Absolutely. And, they just brought back the super speedway out there. There's talks about the fairgrounds, which could be our next short track to race at in NASCAR. So, and I mean, you just think about Nashville as a destination right now. I'm sure people will flock just as much as they did last year to that race. And I agree. I love seeing them embracing the hometown feel. It kind of reminds me of Furniture Row back in the day in Denver, Colorado, where Denver really got around that team and embraced it as like their home team, which you don't really see much in NASCAR. I wish you would see more of it, but everyone's mostly based in Charlotte. But yeah, loving what we're seeing out of Trackhouse. How about your wreckers? What aren't you liking?
So just the opposite of a great performance yesterday by Trackhouse, and specifically Ross Chastain. My records has to go to Penske. They were really non-existent yesterday for most of that race. Blaney early on did lead, I believe it was 10 laps, but he was taken out by that Keselowski spin.
Yeah.
Joey and Austin Cindric spent their days not even close to mattering whatsoever. They spent a lot of their days in the teens, in the high teens too. I know Joey had an average position an average held position of 10.7. I feel like that was a little higher than I thought it was. Every time I looked at him, he was in like that 14th, 15th range.
Yeah.
And I know Austin Cindric had I have written down here, a 19.7 average position held yesterday. And then even their quote unquote pseudo teammate Harrison Burton was in the 20s. His average position was 22.5. So their performance just wasn't there. I'm not just hating on them. I've said before that I like everyone there but Joey. So it's not that. I noticed that they just weren't as strong as everyone else yesterday. The Chevys obviously had their moments, especially with winning the race. The Toyotas had their moments, and I just didn't see much out of the Penske crew.
Yeah, currently Harrison Burton 32nd in points, not the start to his rookie season that he was looking for.
We all called that too.
Yeah. Do you think we're seeing do you think we'll continue to see maybe one manufacturer just fall off for certain tracks? Like last week it was Toyota, where they were non-existent in Auto Club for the most part. This week it was kind of Ford was kind of non-existent for the most part at Las Vegas. Do you think next week we go to Phoenix and one of the manufacturers just misses completely? Because they do share a lot of team data and stuff, right?
I think it's too early to tell, to be honest with you. I think each team has had their issues. I don't think, you could base, Auto Club off of, that, because Toyota's had engine issues. So they didn't really show what they had. Maybe they would have been up there and dominating.
Yeah.
So I just think it's too early to tell. I think we need, more than 6, maybe even close to 7, 8 races in to really determine who's falling off and who maybe figured it out quicker.
Yeah.
I just think you need a little bit more race results to have a little bit more teams have their issues come through. I think
makes sense.
Now you could say which manufacturer didn't have an issue so far. It's
No,
not
that's
necessarily
true.
whose car isn't fast right now or who didn't figure that out. I think it's more or less the car having some issues that all of these teams are eventually going to have their run-ins with. So I think it's a little too early to say who's going to jump ahead or who's going to fall off. I thought yesterday from the beginning of that race, like you pointed out, Whitey, I thought JGR, okay, here we are. I thought they were going to dominate with Seabell, Kyle Busch up there, Truex and Denny. I'm like, okay, here it is. Well, end of the race, who's there at the end? Hendrick Motorsports. So I just think it's a little too early to tell. And I think we're going to have a lot of drastic flip-flopping going on amongst
I think so too. I think at this point, I'm just thinking ahead to our betting segment later on, and I don't even know where to begin, because we've seen 3 wildly different races at 3 different wildly different types of tracks too. So it is hard, but
it's hard.
That's a great thing to have, that means it's unpredictable. You don't have we're going to Phoenix. Harvick's going to lead 300 laps today. You don't have that. And that's what this car, it also just popped in my head, watching the race yesterday. Last year you would have 2 cars that would be fast and then 8 seconds back to the rest of the field.
Yeah.
This car is really 1 through 10 is within 2 seconds of one another and constantly there. The leader isn't getting out ahead and staying ahead.
Yeah.
Which that, it allows for that parity to happen in a way where, okay, a car might dominate, but that car was just as fast as 8 other cars.
Yeah.
And they all dominated a certain point of that race. So, I'm excited to see going forward what this car does as far as keeping that field together. how long till that lasts?
Yeah.
You know, like you're saying, which manufacturer kind of figures it out first? As of now, I think it's too early to tell.
I was just sorry. I was going to say I was just looking at the schedule there while you guys were going back and forth, and I think a good marker, and it's usually a good time of the year too, is like Easter, like that Bristol Dirt Race weekend.
Yeah.
Once we get to there, that's 9 races into the season. Like Eric said, 7, 8, 9 races into the season. That's when at that point we've pretty much seen we have seen all different styles. We've seen short tracks. We've seen codas in there. So we're going to have a road course early on here. We're going to have 2 super speedway races at that point. So we're going to have a good mix of races where we will have a feel for where we're going to be in another about month and a half.
Yeah, I think even just a month later than that, the Coke 600
Sure.
Memorial Day weekend, I think that'll be the true point where we'll kind of know which teams have a handle on it, and we'll probably see some things even out a little bit there.
Heading into the summertime.
Oh yeah. I had one thing I want to say. Oh, to Eric's point, when he was talking about, just the difference in lap times between before that late race caution, the top 4, they were all within 4 seconds of each other. And then, it was maybe a 5-second difference. And then it was 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th where Eric Jones and Larson were coming out of Reddick in 5th real hard and stuff. So it was interesting, even just watching those lap times, seeing those guys moving closer and closer. Kind of something we see a lot at certain tracks and not a whole lot at 1.5 miles. So it was nice to see that at a 1.5 mile cookie cutter track, as people love to say. But Eric, what was your checkers and wreckers for the weekend?
So my checkers, it has to go to them, and there's no reason why it shouldn't. And I saw Twitter was kind of going wild over them, like they kind of always do. But my checkers goes to Kyle Busch and that whole team, and JGR in general for them getting that car built for him to race on Sunday. If you didn't see practice or qualifying, he absolutely destroyed his car. And the backup car that they pulled off,
it was a parts car
for everybody.
And that was for all of Joe Gibbs. So Denny Hamlin's window was in it. There was no decal wrapped on it. They actually had to bring parts in and build the car at the racetrack. And for him to take that car and drive it up to the front, hold it up front, battle for the lead, have a spin, keep it together, come back again. Just the day that he had up and down in the car that he was driving. You hear these drivers, I can't get a hold, I'm loose, I'm tight. Man, Kyle Busch was in a scrub car. It's like that one, what's his name, that went to Hardee's and got that old Pontiac and raced it.
Oh, Cale Yarborough back in the day.
It almost had that feel to it. I took him out of all my fantasy lineups. I took him out of all my picks. I'm with this new car, he's not gonna come on. You need practice. Because he was one that was complaining not enough time to figure out the car. So he scared me when that all happened. And man, did he show me that he's still Kyle Busch.
Oh yeah.
KFB, and no matter what happens, he's gonna get in that car. And he's going to wheel it up to the front, whether that car deserves to be up there. If anyone else is in that car, I think that car runs 22nd all day, to be honest with you. I had to give it to him. That was just awesome to see him go through the field, past the cars, stay up top, through all the turmoil. Hats off, JGR, and most importantly, KFB.
Matt, before your point, after your point, can I give you guys a quick impromptu NASCAR history?
Yeah, absolutely. I just had a very quick question that you guys may or may not know, and then we can move on.
Yeah.
Do you guys know how the wraps are stored? The backup wraps? I didn't even know. I mean, it's smart that they bring them, but
No, do you know?
No, I don't. If anybody who's listening knows, because I'm genuinely curious, are they, do they come on a roll?
It's probably on a roll because it's a big piece of printed vinyl. If you've
they're
ever,
pieced, right? Because they have like the quarter panel.
Yeah,
that's pieced.
usually it's like the whole side of the car, the hood is one piece, the roof and everything, and then they'll put other decals, like the headlights will go on top of that vinyl, and then like the grill portion will go on top of that vinyl, and they'll kind of build it up to make it look. But yeah, they're probably on rolls, and with the West Coast Swing, they probably have a couple different sponsors and paint schemes for the Phoenix car or whatever.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Either way, it's not quick to put on. I'll tell you that.
No.
Putting them on there, and that takes some work.
No, they worked all night long. Whoever worked on that car, they deserve a day off on Monday, for sure. But the quick impromptu NASCAR history, Eric referred to it, the Cale Yarborough accident. So back in the day, it was Daytona 500 qualifying. Cale Yarborough was ripping down the track. I think he broke like 212 miles per hour, whatever, coming around turn one. And a gust of wind lifted his Oldsmobile off the air, completely destroyed it. And they needed to get a new backup car. They didn't have a backup car at the track, but someone knew that there was a Pontiac Hardee's show car at a Hardee's maybe 100 miles down the road in Florida.
It was even closer. I think it was just in like New Smyrna or something.
Oh, it was down by New Smyrna. So it was within the area. So they went down to the Hardee's. They got this old Pontiac show car. They were running Oldsmobiles at the time. It was probably 2 years old. Bring it to the track, drop an engine in it, and he goes on to win the fucking race.
Get out of here.
Cale Yarborough. And you want to know what? To that point, Kyle Busch almost did practically the same thing, where they built that car at the track, and he got a fourth place finish, but he was winning that race if it wasn't for that caution. So got to give all the props to them. How about your records, Eric? What was your records for the weekend?
I hate to do this, but I gotta stick true to what I see, and it could be end up one of my coldest takes. Is I gotta give it to Brad Keselowski. I was high on him coming in, and I thought his driving style, I thought his attitude, his new lease on NASCAR and racing, getting out of Penske, was going to really propel him to do great things. But every interview that I listen to of him and that I see, he's always saying how much these drivers love this new car and how hard it is to drive. It's always on edge. That's what makes it fun. He's still having fun out there. It seems like, it is great for these drivers, how out of control these cars are. They seem to be having a great time trying to get a handle of it. But I didn't think it would take Brad, this long to get a handle of it. And it just seems he's struggling on his own. I just think spinning on your own, I know people are doing it. I know it's common and I know it's happening, but there's other drivers out there that aren't, that maybe you could say aren't to his caliber, as far as drivers go. And it's just surprising to me that he really hasn't figured this car out and come away with some better finishes. I don't know if it's the only thing I can think of is, okay, he's also the owner, a part owner of this
team.
So
that adds more pressure, more day-to-day business stuff,
But I think maybe
more distractions.
This is me kind of looking, I don't know, through rose-colored glasses or whatever that saying is you want to call it. Maybe Brad is taking all the risks for his team.
Yeah.
Maybe he is pushing the limit to that edge to try to find out where this team needs to be. What is that edge? Maybe he's using his car to do that, to give Buescher some information. Maybe he's saying, Buescher, you finish where your car needs to be. Don't wreck your car. I'm going to go out and collect some crazy data.
Yeah.
And maybe he is pushing it. It's early in the season. It is a new car, new, owner. Maybe he's just trying to figure out what the limit of this car is and collect the most data in these first couple races to put down and to have a full notebook. And I think that's the problem now is these teams, they're just starting to fill the first few pages of that notebook. And I think maybe Brad, he's having some bad days because he's trying to fill that notebook and really pushing his car to that edge.
I mean, it's very possible, but I'm thinking about Brad Keselowski last season. He did not have the wins we normally see out of Brad Keselowski either. I'm not saying like, he can't go out and win or anything, but it's also like, it's still Roush,
I was just gonna say it's still Roush, and he went from Penske to Roush.
Yeah.
I know this car has been the great equalizer so far this year, and we have seen the parity, but I mean, they haven't been impressive for years anyway. So how much of a gap, these other teams that we're seeing, become impressive this year. We kind of saw flashes of it last year.
You saw the possibilities.
You saw the possibilities with Trackhouse. You saw the possibilities with 2311. You even saw the possibilities with Eric Jones from time to time last year with
short tracks and road courses
with Petty, and they even got they partnered up with GMS, so like they got better. But I'm just not seeing it from Roush just yet. I know Whitey. We said in the beginning of the year that Buescher is that guy who we can see really take that next step.
Yeah.
We haven't really seen that yet either. I mean, I know it's still early, but again, I don't know. I'm just not seeing it yet. If I'm a Roush fan, I'm not hitting the panic button just yet, but I am starting to sweat just a little bit.
That's exactly it, Matt. Like for those exact reasons, I had to give my records for the fact that there are teams out there that shouldn't be doing as well
as they're doing.
They are, and it's like the parity. Hey, you're supposed to elevate that Roush team. This car is supposed to bring your talent is supposed to elevate. That's why they brought you over there. And as of now, you're exactly right. He just doesn't have it.
I mean, he's still 12.
It's early.
He's still 12th in the points right now, though. Brad Keselowski's 12th in the points. Chris Buescher is 22nd in points, which is kind of where Chris Buescher was last year, too. And again, we're only 3 races in. And I mean,
look at where Denny Hamlin is in the points. You can't.
Denny's 30th.
We do have to pump the brakes a little bit because it is still so early. But it's just something to watch. It's just little things that we've noticed right now that hopefully they can turn it around and it doesn't become a long-going issue for them. Especially because, hey, personally, I would like to see that Fastenal Ford get back into victory lane at some point. It hasn't been in victory lane in the Cup Series ever, so I would like to see that happen. And we've got a long season, and so there's time for change. And they're smart. I know Keselowski's probably one of the smartest drivers in the Cup Series, so maybe they'll still figure it out.
That reminded me. This is completely off topic, but kind of on topic. Just think about Fastenal calendars, and they have the cars in them and everything. I was at an auto parts store. It was A&A Auto. It's a local chain around us, and they had an Interstate Batteries calendar for the month of March. They had the Interstate 18 Monte Carlo from the 90s with Bobby Labonte in it. I'm like, man, kind of disrespectful to Gibbs Racing now. They're going back 25 years or so, or 20 years to build their corporate calendar that they send out to people. But I just, that popped in my head. I meant to tell you guys that earlier in the day, and I forgot.
Funny.
Let me jump into my checkers and wreckers. I'm giving my checkers to Greg Ives, man. Bowman was in the top 5 pretty much the entire day, but Greg made a great call to get him some extra positions on track, going for 2 tires, and ultimately got him the win in the end. And it's not the first time we've seen it. We've seen that exact same thing happen and play out in the past. Thinking about Richmond last season, came in, late race caution, pumped up those tires, and Bowman went on to win the race. What? I missed something.
Eric just got up, and we've been doing. Did you just change shirts? Or have you had that shirt on?
No, he's had the Jimmy Johnson shirt on the whole time.
Oh, was that a Jimmy Johnson shirt? Okay, I just saw the 48. I thought you were wearing a Bowman shirt. I said, why do you have a Bowman shirt? Okay, you front runner? Okay, never mind. I'm sorry to derail the show there.
But yeah, speaking of the 48 going to victory lane, got to give it up to Greg Ives as the crew chief, just for that 2-tire call. Larson made the same call, got him on the front row. Random, but what do you guys think about Larson taking the outside lane when the inside lane on restarts was dominant all day long? Do you think Larson kind of gave that win away, or do you think Bowman earned that win, took that win from Larson? Like, how do you see that one?
I think Larson, he even admitted he could have done a few things different in those last couple laps, and that might be one of them.
Yeah.
But I think
he had control. He got to choose.
Yeah, some people up top were running really well, and Larson obviously loves to be next to the wall. I think there was a little bit of mind games maybe being involved. Like, okay, I'm going to give you the top. Let's see what you could do with it. Maybe he knew, because I know a couple restarts and a couple, like, people knew their car wasn't good on the bottom. Even if their car wasn't better on the top, maybe Larson's like, I'm going to put him where he's not comfortable. Yeah. And I'm not comfortable either, but I know I'm better than him. You know what I mean? Maybe let Bowman screw up in a way. Let him it's kind of a head game, you know? Yeah. But I think that was just hard racing. I don't think Larson let up. I don't think he gave him the win at all. But it was weird. It was weird to see that you know, when you have the choose out there, it's up to him. Yeah. And could have been a mental thing.
Yeah, and I might be speaking out of line here too, but I mean, they already have a win in their pocket. Maybe they're trying something different, trying a little risk, seeing if it works for them. It ultimately didn't, because obviously Bowman, you know, like I said earlier in the podcast, you know, they were neck and neck throughout that whole last lap, and Bowman took that lead coming off 4 on the bottom. Yeah. So it was a great battle. Maybe they were just trying something different. Like Eric said, you know, Larson's a top lane guy, so maybe he thought he could have had a little bit better control up there and more grip, and it just didn't work out for him. But I mean, he had pretty much a whole lap to try to make it work.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was just something I thought about, and then, like, even as I was watching, I'm like, oh, I wonder if he chose that so then, like, Byron would go behind him, and then, like, he would put, you know, Kyle Busch on the inside, and, like, Kyle was on 4 tires and they were on 2, and just there's a lot to think about. It made me wonder, like, oh, why would you go with the outside line when the inside was so dominant? But
you could protect the high line better if you're Larson. I think he knew up there what's going to happen on a restart. Someone's going to
control it.
Go low.
Especially with Kyle Busch restarting behind Bowman.
Yeah.
You knew he was going to try to go low.
Oh, yeah.
But just get the run. And I think that's what he didn't want. I don't think he wanted anyone to try to get to his inside. You know what I mean? And risk being 3 wide or being in the middle, or, you know what I mean? Because then you're in some real hairy territory.
You know what it could have been too is, like, we saw cars lose it on that bottom groove a few times during the weekend. So it could have been something where, hey, I'm going to go up top. I know Kyle's going to dive by him underneath Bowman going into that corner. If he bobbles and loses it and gets into Bowman, I'm going to be free to go right on the outside of him.
And they're going to wreck behind you or whatever, right. You know? Oh, that makes a lot of sense. My wreckers had to give it to Ryan Sieg and have failed retaliation to Ty Gibbs during the Xfinity race. Yeah. He tried to pull a Kenseth. He ended up pulling a Danica, and that's all I got to say about that.
Oof.
Let's see. I got some race notes. Just trying to think of stuff we didn't talk about. We covered Bowman and Larson taking advantage of that late race caution. They came in first and second, respectively. Ross Chastain, 83 laps. We talked about that, coming in third. Kyle Busch is in the lead when that caution came out. He took 4 tires that slowed him down on pit road, and that seemed to have been what did him and got himself 4th place finish. William Byron only led 8 laps, but he was pretty consistent in the top 10 all day long. What'd you guys think about Willie B, considering his rough day in California the previous week?
He's a superstar.
Yeah,
he'll figure it out.
In my notes here, I had one thing that I could kind of combine them. I wrote down that this new car is durable. This thing could take a beat, and, you know, Byron smacked the wall too, and he smacked it pretty hard, and that car kept on going. You know, so he's another one of those kids that I think he got a lot of pressure put on him coming in, but you have to think he's still so young and so new and raw in this Cup Series that. You know, you look at Bowman. Yeah, he's older. He had a couple of experience. He's coming in. He's starting to win some races now. Wait until 2-3 years down the road, and you have a little bit more mature William Byron and someone that's been in this car. And look out then. You know, he's definitely a wheelman. But I noticed with him, ran great, and his car is durable.
Especially with the people around him now. You know, just think about, like, all the years to come. And all that experience that he's gonna get from Larson, from Chase, from from Alex Bowman, and just the knowledge in that building. Who knows? Maybe someday William Byron will be the top dog at Hendrick.
Dude, there's so many young drivers, like so many great
it's
young
insane.
drivers. This sport's in really, really good hands right now for the next decade and a half.
We are in a young driver renaissance right now, and
like if you think
I
about
love it.
If you think about it, and it's weird to think about, is like this crop of young drivers with the Larsons, the William Byrons, Chases, Blaney's, and all them, they're going to be just phasing out once the young Larsons, the young Brexton Bushes, the young
are coming into the sport.
Clint Boyer's kid is coming up. Like when all those kids are starting to come up, they're going to be on the back end. So it's it's kind of crazy to think about it that way as well.
It's insane. I feel like we're on the ground floor right now, and we're going to be watching these same guys duke it out for the next 10 to 15 years.
Yep.
And I'm loving
20
it.
years. I mean, these guys are racing into their mid 40s now.
Let's see. Someone who's retiring this year. Is Eric Almirola the top dog at SHR right now? He has to be, right?
100%.
Currently.
Sixth place finish, third top 10 of the season. No laps led, but consistent for most of the day. I did not see this coming out of Eric Almirola after last year. What do you guys think?
Oh, we all sold him in the beginning of this year.
We did.
We all wrote him off. He's retiring. He's done. He hasn't done much. Couple good short track races here and there. We'll get a good finish out of it. I just think this is one of those deals where he did really well with that 750 package.
Yeah.
And that 750 package closely resembles what they went to for this next gen car. So anyone that did good, and like, I know our notes as far as the fantasy and betting is weird, but I'm going with like, if people were good in that 750 package at those races, I tend to think that those same drivers are going to do well in this new car. So that might be something to look for down the road is Almirola maybe being a mid-season buy.
You never know. You never know. Get some shares now. We'll see what happens come playoff time. Seventh place, Tyler Reddick qualified seventh, went to the back for an unapproved adjustment, made up some ground, then spun out, got into the grass.
In the grass. Whoa. Eric.
Lawnmower, new nickname. I'm getting shirt made for you, Whitey. The lawnmower.
Tyler Reddick's landscaping service.
No, you're not taking that away from Josh Berry, buddy.
Okay.
I already have a shirt that says Josh Berry's landscaping service.
Anyways, he made his way back, got himself a seventh place finish. Martin Truex Jr. looked like he was going to catch Kyle Busch near the end. His second place finish fell apart after that late race restart, becoming an eighth place finish. But like you said, Eric, Martin Truex Jr. was really good at that 750 package last year, especially at Phoenix and the shorter tracks. He wasn't really much of a factor in the beginning of the race, but that long run speed showed. What do you guys think about Martin Truex Jr. so far?
I love him. I actually been meaning to bring this up with you guys that I wanted to say in the beginning of the season when we had our hot takes and our what we think might happen, our big predictions.
Yeah.
I actually think that this is going to be MTJ's last year racing.
Yeah.
It's just a hunch I have, and I don't know, what I'm necessarily basing that off of. There's a couple reasons, but yeah, I think that this is probably going to be his last year. I don't know why I'm thinking that. He doesn't seem like a guy who's going to come out and announce it, so they have a parade.
No, I was going to say the same thing.
You know what I mean? He's a quiet dude to begin with. I don't think he wants all the pomp and circumstance surrounding that. I just have a weird feeling he's going to retire after this year.
Yeah, he seems like the kind of guy that would announce it with like 4 more races, go like, hey, this is going to be my last year. I know last year was a contract year for him, though. He did sign an extension. Not sure if that was just a year extension or if it was a multi-year deal. I'll have to go back and look for that press release to see if we could get some more information on that. But I could see that happening. Especially with Ty Gibbs right in the pipeline, not a whole lot of Toyota cars. We got some young talent maybe moving up. So who knows? We'll see what happens with old Marty. How about your number one, Chase? He got a 9th place finish, just up and down all day long. Still improved over a rough week last week. And that late race restart helped him salvage a top 10. And then you have anything else to say about that one?
He just had a short car run. It seemed like at the end of all of his runs, he would just drop off a cliff. You know, he would be in 5th, 6th, 7th. I'd look up and he'd be back in 15th. And it was like it happened in the matter of like 2 or 3 laps. You know, I even said, you know, he needs a caution or he's not going to be able to reconcile this day. And he got one. Like he had no business probably finishing inside the top 10 yesterday, but he was able to do it. Vegas is his worst mile and a half statistically. So I'm glad that's in the rear view and he can move on.
On to Phoenix, and he's won a championship out there. We'll see if he can win this week in the desert. And the final spot in the top 10, Christopher Bell led some laps early on after winning his first career Busch Pole Award in the Cup Series. Had a great day compared to last week. What do you guys think about old Christopher Bell in the desert?
I think he had a good day. I think it was solid. I really thought he had a car to win, especially after that qualifying run. He just seemed like him and Larson were in a different zip code as far as the speeds went. And, you know, obviously difficulties throughout the race. Everybody ran into some issues, and that's what I love. You know, you got to be able to overcome those issues and be able to get back to the top. And, you know, you see he was able to do that. And I just think that is a sign for me to look who's going to be good later on. Is the teams that have issues that still salvage a race and can come back and make a day out of it. Those teams tend to make it far into the season and into the playoffs. So I think he'll be just fine. I think this package, once he gets a couple more races under his belt, I think he'll start to come into himself for who we expect, you know, Christopher Bell to be. Another Reddick, another Larson up next to that wall, really wheeling these cars.
And to your point earlier too about these cars, man, just the forgiveness to them. You see a lot of guys that, you know, in the last gen car, you get that contact, you're pretty much your day's done. You're going to the garage, and we're seeing guys, you know, go to the back, go multiple laps down, and then still salvage a decent day out of it. And it makes for a really interesting racing product. I really enjoy it. These composite bodies are interesting to say the least. So I'm enjoying that. But do you guys have anything else to add to our weekend in Las Vegas?
Yeah, I just had, you know, 2 people that I thought impressed me. Corey LaJoie.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, coming home in 15th for Spire. And it wasn't just like Matt said, like he caught at the end and ended up 15th when he was running 22nd. He was up there battling all day. I remember Eric Jones running through the field. When he got to LaJoie, he took him a couple more laps to pass him than some other cars. I thought he had a strong day, and as well as Austin Dillon coming home in 11th there. I thought Austin had a great day, up and down, had some, you know, issues of his own, and he just put together a solid race. And, you know, there's some people that, you know, as far as Austin Dillon goes, you kind of ride him off the way, but he's slowly putting together these finishes. He tends to run in those top 10, top 15, but then just doesn't get the finishes to really show what he could do.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, he's one of them that's just steadily improving as he ages and gets more wheel time in these cars. But had to shout out LaJoie and Austin Dillon for just having a great day, getting inside the top 15 there and hanging there for most of the day.
Yeah, I think those are good notable guys to talk about. Corey LaJoie, he's a hard-nosed racer, man. He's gonna make you work to pass him. And I wish we saw some better results out of him last year. I was real high on Spire and all the new teams last year, and hopefully they kind of, you know, start and pull out these top 15 finishes. And
he just has such a fan base everywhere I go.
He's a real likable guy, you know.
Yeah. Big fan base, and like, you know, a lot of LaJoie shirts and stuff. And I'm like, man, I like Eric Jones, who's not a very popular driver, but was in Gibbs. Like, this is LaJoie, who, like, I'm like, he's
never had great equipment.
Yeah. So, and to already have that fan base, I just think he's a good guy that I'd like to see do well in the sport.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that during a rain delay goes out and throws the football into the crowd with the fans.
Oh,
like, come on.
Exactly. Yep, exactly.
And he's got a really popular podcast. He's always on Sirius XM filling in for Larry Mack with Danielle Trotta and stuff. And I kind of like his family story. You know, his dad was a racer, Randy LaJoy. Right now their kind of full-time job is making seats. Like they mold seats for other teams and stuff. So like on the weekdays he's molding seats, and on the weekends he's going out and he's racing those seats. And you want to see a guy like that kind of do well. He just seems like a guy you can have a beer with after a race at a bar, and he won't big time you, you know? But, and to your point about Austin Dillon, I just gotta say that paint scheme was beautiful. I love, turquoise blue or a teal or whatever. I thought that was a really cool looking car.
Yep.
And yeah, I think his performance would come. He's up and down, you know, it all depends on the track for him. Someone who had a bad day, man, everyone loves to talk about the winners here on the Bumper Run podcast. We like to talk about the last place guy too. We brought him up earlier on. It was Daniel Suarez. He was a victim of some contact from Chase Briscoe. Briscoe was avoiding Michael McDowell, who was avoiding Eric Jones. Jones bobbled under McDowell. McDowell checked up. Chase Briscoe kind of dove and kind of ended up hooking Daniel Suarez and taking him out for the day. Which was really tough considering the day his teammate Ross Chastain had coming in third. So at least half the team did really well yesterday at Trackhouse. Something to celebrate there. We'll see how Daniel recovers and moves on to Phoenix. I'm sure he's already put it in the rear view mirror. And that's the last place for this week. I got some pick lanes for you. We kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but let's take a deep dive. The choose cone is out. I give you guys a topic, and the topic is Kyle Busch had some choice, colorful words about Alex Bowman and his win over the crew radio. The post-race interview was calmed down. He was tame, but in the car, the chatter got picked up by some media outlets and tweeted out there, should we be reporting on in-car radio criticisms of other drivers, or do you think we should leave that between the driver and the crew? Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't report on things going on with the car, but do you think trash talk about other drivers should be reported on?
They're going to run with it all the time, brother.
Yeah.
So here's the deal with the radio is that, you know, they have to mash a button that's on their steering.
You know, people are listening.
You know, people are listening. All of them know about it. So you'll even hear drivers reference like, "Oh, that'll probably be on
Radioactive
on Radioactive this week." You know, so they know what they're doing when they mash that button. They know they're not just talking to their spotter and their crew chief. They know what they're saying is going to get back to these other guys. And I mean, especially Fox, who was trying to manufacture yesterday in the pre-race show a made-up beef with Larson and Chase. Yeah. They were trying to stretch that out. You know, of course they're gonna run. Their reporters are gonna run with you know, Kyle Busch blatantly calling out Bowman like he did. You know, you don't have to like it, but it is what it is in today's day and age. Yeah. They say something controversial, it's gonna get picked up, and they're gonna run with it.
How about you, Eric? Do you think we should be putting a lot of stock behind what drivers say about other drivers on team radios?
Yeah, I like it. But as long as you give me the other side as well. So basically, like, my thought is Kyle Busch changed my opinion of him over these last few years. But there's one thing that always stays the same, and that's the media is going to put a microphone in front
in his
of
face, yeah.
Angry Kyle Busch, or just a Kyle Busch after a race, and, you know, looking for that, oh my God, I can't believe he said that quote. So you're going to put that microphone in front of him. You're going to get, you know, that quote from Kyle Busch that you're looking for.
Yeah.
But put right behind that the actual professional interview that's on video that shows him with his sponsors, because that's what you need to do. You know, right out of take it in two separate situations. You know, that's Kyle Busch, the race car driver, but people tend to lump that up with Kyle Busch, the person.
Yeah.
And I don't anymore. I tend to separate that. You could take the live in-car bullshit that they say back and forth, because that's great entertainment. That causes rivalries. That causes some storylines, which is great. But at the same time, you then look at what he did in his other interviews where he is professional, where he does, say the right things. And, he might have a smug look on his face, but, that's what you have to do. But right in the car, what he's saying in the moment of his job, which is a very intense thing, it just seems to me like people take that a little too seriously. So I heard a lot of chatter today, like, oh, like Kyle Busch, like you think like he would have thanked his team first, and why was he like so mad that Bowman won?
I think a lot of people didn't realize it was in car, and that's why I want to stress the in car radio was where the quote came from. I think a lot of people thought it came from a post race interview.
Like my thing is, I want my driver to be mad after a race like he had.
Yeah.
And the spin that the media was putting on was that, oh, Kyle Busch doesn't care about his crew. Kyle Busch shouldn't say that about this. He should, the first thing out of his mouth, should be thanking so and so.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do as well. If I was in that situation, that's the way I would go about it. But you got to think, Kyle Busch is an intense person. He wants to win that race. And I want my driver to be mad because you look at it from an opposite perspective of what the media was spinning it as, making him look like the bad guy. What if he was mad because he knows how hard that team worked?
Oh,
he knows that team put in to win that race.
That's a good point.
He went out there and he wanted to win for his crew. He's mad that he didn't win because his crew worked that hard. He is pissed that he didn't get the job done. His crew got the job done. He's mad because he didn't get the job done.
Yeah.
He's disappointed in himself in that situation. He's not being an asshole and not thanking his crew for what they did. He knows what they did.
Yeah.
Now it's his turn. It's Sunday. You guys did your job. I'm about to go show you and do mine. And you know what? When he came up short, knowing that last caution, he was going to win, everyone would be up his ass, sucking him off, saying he's the greatest. Oh, Kyle Busch is this. He came from behind. His car did this. But no, you get the opposite. Now they're trying to make him look like the fucking bad guy.
Yeah.
When I think he's so mad because he knows the hours that team put in and he didn't get the job done. So I think it's a big twist because Kyle Busch has always been the bad guy. It ain't 2008 anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this is a different time, and you got to look at it from a different perspective. And the media, like they did with that bullshit gimmick with Larson and Chase in the beginning, I hope I never see that on TV ever again, or my eyes play. It was the worst piece of television I've ever seen. And I just think the media tends to stick with what they know and they try to go with it. And that's Kyle Busch being the bad guy.
Yeah.
I look at it as he's mad, he's pissed, not at his team or mad because it's because he knows how hard that team worked to get him that car to lead that race.
I think you got to drop the microphone after that one. I don't even know how to respond.
That was yeah. So should we like kind of say what Kyle Busch said about Bowman in case anyone didn't hear it? I have the quote, but go ahead if you have it.
I have it also. I was waiting for the follow up to bring it up. But the one thing I am going to say, we got the best of both worlds with Kyle Busch. We got exactly what we want and what we say we want, because when he's rude to reporters, we say, well, he should be nicer to the reporters. They're just reporting on the race. So he should be personable and thank all his sponsors and stuff. But at the same time, we want Kyle Busch to be an asshole. We want him to stir the pot. So we got him to stir the pot in the car, and then he went out and he talked nice to the media. We really did get the best of the both worlds.
Dude, I'm at the point now where, like, I want to hear his post-race interview as much as I want to hear my driver's post-race interview. Like, we were getting ready.
Yeah.
The race ended kind of late yesterday. The dog was dying to go out for his walk. So as soon as the race ended, Steph started getting the dog ready to go for a walk. And I was like, hold on a second. Like, I want to hear what Kyle Busch has to say here. And obviously, like the post-race interview itself wasn't much, but that goes to show you, like, I'm not the only one out there. I know I'm not the only one out there that's just like waiting to see what he has to say. So yeah, as Eric said, I used to be, a Kyle Busch hater, but about 2 or 3 years ago, I just learned to just enjoy what we have. He's outspoken.
Just appreciate the show.
I wish more drivers spoke like he did. Just give him the raw emotion. It's good to see.
No, I get warm and cold on Kyle Busch all the time.
Right.
But right now I'm real warm on him. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. But the follow up, if the shoes cones back out, we're late race restarting, baby. I want to know, is Kyle Busch right about Alex Bowman? And what he said is, and I quote, the same fucking guy who backs into every fucking win that he's ever fucking gets backs into another fucking win. Bullshit. I don't know if that's how he said it, but that's how I read it in my mind. Do you think he's right about Alex Bowman, though? Because, I mean...
Absolutely not. So, okay. I looked into it here. So I don't think he's right about Bowman, but I can see where he's coming from. So 4 out of 7, Bowman has 7 wins.
Yeah.
4 of his 7 wins came when he only led 16 laps, 9 laps, 10 laps, and 16 laps.
But he's still leading laps.
Right, but I mean those are small numbers. He wasn't dominating those races, but
he led the most important one.
Right, the last one. But to defend him, because listen, to defend him, those other 3 wins that he led 88 laps, 110 laps, and 98 laps. So he's obviously
back into those wins.
He obviously wasn't backing into those wins. So again, we have to take what these drivers are saying with a grain of salt. When obviously Kyle Busch feels like a win was stolen from him. I'm not a Kyle Busch fan, and I feel like a win was stolen from him too. So I see that why I can completely understand why he'd be pissed off about it. I just don't think that Bowman is a hack like Denny has called him. I don't think he lucks into all of his wins. No. Sometimes luck is part of the game, right? It just is. You got to put yourself in contention. You got to make sure your car's in the right spot to even have a chance to win.
What do we say every time we go to Talladega or Daytona at a super speedway?
Be there at the end.
Yeah.
Yep.
How many times has Brad Keselowski snuck one at the end at a Talladega race and led 1 lap in the last one? Doesn't mean he's not a great super speedway driver putting himself in the position to be there at the end. Bowman put himself in the position to be there at the end. That's why I gave Greg Ives my checkers for this week, because as a crew chief, he put his driver in a position to win.
Absolutely.
And he did. How about you, Eric? What do you think about the Kyle Busch quotes? Do you think it's accurate? Do you think Bowman backs into his wins, or do you think they're hard-earned wins?
Kyle Busch, is he right? Yes. Is he wrong? Yes. It's kind of could go either way with me with the whole situation. Does Bowman tend to only lead under 20 laps when he wins races? Yeah, he does. And in his last 5, that was the case. So I also think he's very talented. You win 7 times, 7 different racetracks.
Yeah.
You're a winner. You're those people, you're in the stat line. So
every single one can't be a fluke.
Right. So it's frustration at that point for Kyle in car versus give him some time to breathe. And I don't think he says that.
All right. Well, I think that's enough for the pick lane. Let's jump into the week ahead. Let's stop looking in the past. Let's look to the future, because we are headed to Phoenix. Saturday Xfinity Series is on track for the United Rentals 200, 4:30 on FS1. Saturday, we also have practice and qualifying for the Cup starting at 1:30. Check your local listings on that one, because sometimes they start in FS2, move over to FS1. I don't want to tell you something and then you're yelling at me, oh, Michael D. White, you're wrong. But then Sunday, I know for sure, 3:30, we have the Ruoff Mortgage 500 on Fox. So another 3:30 start out in the desert of Phoenix. Matt, we got the stats and everything that we need to make our picks. You got the numbers for us before we review last week's picks. You want to give us the lines and maybe see where we should start thinking about?
Absolutely. Like we have been doing all season, we've got our 4 featured matchups. These lines are brought to you by DraftKings. So we'll go with the first one. Really, really interesting teammates here. Martin Truex Jr. versus Denny Hamlin. Martin Truex Jr.
Before you start, I just want to review what we had last week. So we had 4 picks. We had Kurt Busch and Austin Dillon. I was the only one that picked Austin Dillon. He finished 11th. You guys took Kurt Busch. He finished 13th. The next matchup from last week was Joey Logano and Kyle Busch. Logano finished 14th. Of course, Kyle Busch finished 4th. I got it wrong. You guys both got it right. Our last matchup was Larson and Chase. Larson got 2nd. Chase got 9th. I picked Larson. Eric picked Larson. Matt picked Chase. He did not win And then the
That was a
final
homer
one
pick.
was Reddick and Byron, and I homer picked Reddick. He got 7th. You also picked Reddick, and Eric picked Byron. So those stats, I got 2 right. Matt got 1 right. Eric went 3 for 4 in picks, so maybe pay attention to his picks this week. Matt, give us those matchups for Phoenix.
You got it. So, like I said, we're starting out with teammates here. Very close battle with Martin Truex Jr. versus Denny Hamlin. DraftKings has the line at -120 for Martin Truex, making him the slight favorite against Denny, who is -110. I am taking Martin Truex Jr. I liked what I saw towards the end of that race last week. I'm taking Martin Truex Jr. there, the slight favorite.
How about you, Eric?
I'm going with Denny Hamlin here. I think he kind of is kicking himself for the bad mistake that he made. That was all on him. He admitted it. I'm going with Denny Hamlin.
All right, I'm picking Martin Truex Jr. He was dynamite at 750 tracks last year, including Phoenix. I believe he won Phoenix last year in the spring. And I expect his performance to match kind of where he was at Las Vegas this week.
All right, next matchup. This is an odd one. We've got Eric Almirola, who has been pretty freaking consistent. Worst finish of 6th this year so far, versus Ross Chastain, who had the best car this past weekend, finished 3rd, probably could have won that race. Eric Almirola, the slight favorite at -125, Ross Chastain at -105. I am taking. I had Eric Almirola. I'm actually switching that. I like the heater that Ross Chastain's on. I'm giving him the slight edge here. Ross Chastain bests out Eric Almirola.
I think Kevin Harvick, his notebook is going to translate into this week. I think Stuart Haas, he needs to step it up. So I think they're all going to do a little bit better to catch Eric Almirola in the season that he started with so far. And just like you said, Matt, who has a hotter hand than AA right now? Going Eric Almirola.
Yeah, I'm picking Almirola too. Only driver with 3 top 10s this season. He shined at short tracks last year in a year that he struggled. He's performing well right now, and I think he's going to perform on Sunday.
Okay.
Ross Chastain and Trackhouse, they're too up and down right now. They don't have quite the consistency I'd like to see on them.
You know what? You guys talked me out of it. I'm going Eric Almirola. I pulled a Whitey. I'm going Eric Almirola as well.
I like it.
This next matchup, it's interesting. A little bit of a slap in the face to Alex Bowman. It's Alex Bowman versus Christopher Bell, and it's a dead heat with these guys. Both of them are -115. So, Alex Bowman, it's his home track. He just won a race. He runs really, really good at Phoenix. I'm taking Alex Bowman here.
I'm going to go, C. Bell in this situation. I think just like Denny, I think Gibbs was about to show what they had last week after their engine issues. And, a couple mistakes bit them in the heels. Just like Denny, I think C. Bell is going to kind of have a comeback week and run exceptionally well at Phoenix.
Man, I don't even want to touch this one, especially even odds. Flip a coin at this point because both of them could either have a great day or a bad day. We've already seen it out of both of them this season. Pretty much this last race and the race before, they had a rough one out in Auto Club. Give me the hot shoe of Christopher Bell. He had the pole. We'll see what he could do in Phoenix.
The hot shoe. Bowman just won the race.
Yeah, I know. I don't know, man.
I'm nervous right now.
I am nervous. All right, I'm going Bell.
This next one here is an easy layup, I feel, for all of us, especially the track that it's at. It's Kevin Harvick, the heavy favorite, -140 against Brad Keselowski, that is +110. The way both of these guys have been racing doesn't matter because Kevin Harvick, it's his premier track. It's Phoenix. I'm taking Harvick all the way with this one.
I can't deny anything that you just said there, Matt. I got to go Kevin Harvick, no doubt about it in this situation. I shit on BK was my wreckers, and I don't think he's coming back. Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, there's a reason why Brad Keselowski is +110 right now, and it's because he's been struggling since Daytona. Give me Kevin Harvick, who ran in the top 10 pretty much all day yesterday, finished out with a 12th place finish. I think he's gonna outpace Brad Keselowski in Phoenix. All right, our picks from last week. So this year we're doing it a little bit different where we're only allowed to pick one driver 5 times throughout the season. Of course, really not going to matter yet, but it will once we get into the woods of this season. But last week, I picked Kyle Larson to win. He got me 48 points. The week before that, I picked Bowman to win, and Larson won. This week, I picked Kyle Larson to win and Bowman win. So I got those swapped. I apologize for the bettors out there, but I was close. Matt picked Kyle Busch. He got you 41 points. Of course, with that 4th place finish. And Eric picked the other Busch brother, Kurt Busch. He got Eric 24 points. So that means Eric picks first this week, Matt picks second, and I pick last. Matt, give us those stats we need. Figure out who we're going to go with the race winner this week.
Nope, no stats.
No stats, no lines?
Stats. I apologize. Oh, I'm sorry. You want the lines. Okay.
Yeah, no, of course, last year we used to give you the average finish, the average points accrued. We're in a new car, new data. We can't go by that old stuff. We're just going by the betting lines this year.
Absolutely. And what I've been doing is I've been doing the top 10 betting odds. So that's what I'm going to do this time around as well. So to start it off, we are in the desert. Let's see here. Do you like my filibustering? Is it obvious that I'm filibustering here?
No, I think you're doing a great job. Very professional. For the people listening at home too, we're trying to rush through this segment because during the pickle lane, Eric had some technical difficulties on his end. You listening at home would never have known unless I brought it up just now. But we're trying to beat the clock to make sure that we don't run out of battery again. So Matt.
That's right. All right. So here we go. So the top 10 betting favorites, really good odds here for Eric Almirola, plus 2,500. Kevin Harvick, plus 2,000. If you want to win some money, that's a really good bet to place right there. That's intriguing. What was that?
That's great, Kevin Harvick at that. That's
Yeah. William Byron even, plus 1,400. Blaney, plus 1,200. And then let's see here, Denny Hamlin at plus 1,000. And then your top 5 is Joey Logano and Chase Elliott tied at plus 800. I love those odds as well.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch and Martin Truex tied with plus 700. And then, of course, your favorite, until further notice, it's probably going to be for the rest of the season, plus 350 for Kyle Larson as your favorite.
And those are the Vegas odds on DraftKings as of Monday night. Of course, they are subject to change, especially after practice and qualifying.
Right.
So keep that in mind. If you want to lock in some of these rates early, I'm sure they'll be changing after practice and qualifying. Eric, who are you going with to win the race?
Well, I think it irritated him a little bit. His mistakes he made, like I picked earlier, against MTJ versus him. I'm going with Denny Hamlin. It probably irritated him even more once the hack that he called Bowman won that race, and he didn't know even how to shift with the new sequential. I think he gets a little irritated, comes back this week, and I think all the Gibbs comes back with a vengeance to prove something. So I'm going with Dennis Hamlin.
I think it's a good pick. We know he could get it done in the spring. I don't think he'll get it done in the fall though, when it actually matters for the championship. How about you, Matt? What are you thinking?
Yep. So because we have that cap of 5, I don't want to double up on anyone yet. I'm going to go with a guy who's plus 800. I'm going to go with a guy whose team I wrecked in Penske Racing. I'm going to go with Joey Logano. He wins out in the desert this weekend.
All right. He could have had a second place or even a first place finish in the desert of Las Vegas. I think he comes back angry. I think he comes to a short track that he runs very well at. I am going with Martin Truex Jr., who I believe I picked to win this race last year, and he did. So let's see if I can make it 2 years in a row, baby. Mark it down. Our playoff picture so far, we are 3 races into the 2020 season, and we have 3 different winners. Austin Cindric, Kyle Larson, and of course, the newly added Alex Bowman. Next week, we are going to Phoenix, 3:30 on Fox for the Ruoff Mortgage 500. Who will it be? Will it be one James Dennis Hamlin? Will it be one Joseph Logano, or will it be one Martin Truex II? We will find out Sunday, 3:30 on Fox, and of course we'll break it all down for you right here Monday night on the Bumper Run Podcast. For Matt the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night.
The bump and run.
There it is.